morning. Lindsay and I are here this morning to make a very special cake for Kate's birthday. We are making a cake that my good friend Nicole first taught me to make, and it's a little bit interesting and tricky, but is absolutely the best coconut cake ever in the whole world. So thank you, Nicole. And so there are a couple of little tricky things about this cake, and we're going to start off with going ahead and buttering our cake tins and getting the rounds put in of parchment. And then we also have two types of coconut. We've got a regular shredded coconut that goes in the cake, and then we've got the coconut that is more like coconut strips or coconut chips that need to be toasted. So while Lindsay gets the parchment and the buttering done on the tins, I'm going to get the coconut ready to toast. So while Lindsay is doing that, I'm going to talk to you about this coconut cake flavoring. Now, this is really quite an adventure because it really is a type of alcohol called Southern Comfort. And so we don't drink alcohol of any kind. And so, but it's a unique flavor that is really important for this cake. And so what we do is we buy the alcohol and then we burn off all the alcohol. So if you are someone that drinks alcohol, of course you don't have to burn the alcohol off, but this is what we do and we like it that way. Okay, so these are ready, and so we'll set those to the side, and it's time to move on to the next thing. Now, while we're at this, we are going to do a little bit of a comparison between KitchenAid and a Bosch mixer, and that's what mine is a Bosch. I have, in my lifetime, I have owned 3 KitchenAids and this one Bosch, and I know everybody loves KitchenAid, and all of the big chefs on TV, they're all about KitchenAid. KitchenAid probably pays them. Anyway, I choose Bosch. And the reason is that I killed 3 KitchenAids. You know, I used it, and they all died. One of them I actually sent for repairs. I tried to get it to come back. It just never worked right. The problem is that KitchenAid is great for cakes and frostings and that, but if you're doing bread or anything heavy on a regular basis, KitchenAid doesn't handle it. And I had the professional series KitchenAid, and it just couldn't handle bread. And I was making bread for my family, you know, at least a couple of times a month. Usually more like weekly, and the motor in the KitchenAid just can't handle it. But a Bosch is built for bread, and so the motor in it is really hefty, and I love the Bosch, and it's great for a thick cookie dough, for all those heavy things. It just has the capacity to handle that, and it does well with cakes and frostings and lightweight things as well. So that's why I love the Bosch, and I picked the Bosch over the KitchenAid. So I'm sure, please make comments below. There are probably a lot of you out there that absolutely disagree. Well, that's okay, right? We can disagree, and but you can make comments below about, you know, what you think, and if you have found a way to use a KitchenAid for bread, make sure you comment below. Okay, should we get started?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a lot of talking. Just before we actually get going with the recipe, we'd like to ask you to subscribe to the channel that you're on right now. And comment and share and ring the bell and do all of those things that help boost our channel, because we have very specific purposes for doing this. And so we'd like to have you join our subscriber team and be with us. Okay, so now I've got to get Nicole's recipe out where I can see it, and we're going to just get going. So the first thing we're going to do is put in the it takes a lot of butter. This cake is delicious, but it's not, probably not on anyone's diet. Okay, so
we only have it once a year for a specific person's birthday.
That's true.
So once a year.
So our oven is preheated to 350, and then we are going
all three of
to.
These? Am I doing all three of these?
Yeah, you're going to put in.
Two?
Sorry.
Two. Oh, we need two.
I am trying to see. Okay, so it says using an electric mixer, beat the sugar and butter at medium speed. Okay, and it says to scrape down the side of the bowl periodically, and we're actually going to beat that for 3 to 4 minutes.
Okay, so 2 and 3. Okay.
And while you're doing that, I am going to put aside. Okay, and then I'm going to measure into this extra bowl. I'm going to measure 2 3/4 cups of flour, and the coconut, some baking powder, and some salt, and just whisk it together and set that aside.
You need the flour?
So I'm going to use the flour, yeah.
And we're supposed to mix this and scrape the sides?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, but you use the, that's for bread.
Oh.
So Lindsay's going to use the whiskey beaters. Because it says the
Baking powder in with your stuff or with mine?
Mine. This recipe calls for cake flour, and we just have all-purpose flour. And so to turn all-purpose flour into cake flour, you just add 2 tablespoons of cornstarch to each cup of flour. So we've got 2 cups of flour, a little over 2 cups. So we're going to add 4 tablespoons of cornstarch to our flour mixture right now, so that we can convert our regular all-purpose flour into cake flour. Now this actually has to beat for 3 to 4 minutes. It's got to be really smooth and look pretty.
Okay.
I'm going to measure out a 1/2 cup of coconut oil, and then I'm going to melt it. We want the coconut oil to be liquid, but not hot. So we'll let that sit for a minute. Okay.
What we really need is fractionated coconut oil then, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so now we're going to leave the top off of this because...
Is it pretty enough?
It's gorgeous. Okay, so now we are going to run that on low, and then we are going to add the eggs one at a time.
So this is 2 eggs in so far,
That's
right?
2, and... So when you put your eggs in, you want to make sure they're at room temperature so that they'll blend better. And then when that looks, it actually takes on a real pretty light yellow color. It looks really nice. And then we're going to beat that, and then we'll add in the oil gradually. Okay. I'm just going to drizzle it. To put in a cup of buttermilk. And so on this next part, what we're going to do is in 3 additions, we're going to add flour, mix, buttermilk, mix, flour, buttermilk. So 3 different times so that it's really nicely mixed. Okay, So first we'll put in some of the flour, about 1/3 of it. Okay, and mix that. And then we'll add a little bit of the buttermilk, about 1/4 cup. The recipe says to make sure you begin and end with dry ingredients. So that means, I guess you do dry ingredients in 4ths and the milk in 1/3s. Now we're going to divide it between these two cake pans. These are 9-inch cake pans and they're pretty deep because when we're all done, what we're going to do is, after it's baked, cut those 2 cakes that we get out of the pans, we're going to cut those in half. So we actually end up with 4 layers of cake. So it's saying that we're going to put a very generous 2 cups into each cake pan. Okay, so we're smoothing out the tops here with this offset spatula, and then we'll put them in the oven and get them baking, and then we'll be back. It's the kind of coconut you want, sort of a fine, thin flake. And we're actually going to dump that out onto a cookie sheet. And then we're going to brown it. So we're going to bake it at 350 for several minutes and keep a close eye on it. Now here are our finished cakes. They're nice and golden and they're cooled completely. So now what we're going to do is remove them from the pans, and we're going to cut them in half. Our parchment off the bottom of these. I'm going to use a serrated knife, and we're just going to, I'm going to put it right in the middle and then just hold my hand steady and turn the cake. And just keep turning around, and hopefully this will cut it straight through the middle. It is very crumbly. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do, cut it straight through the middle. What I'm going to do is kind of hang on to all these crumbs that are coming off, and then I can mix them with some of the frosting and start to fill in some of the places that are a little uneven. All right, it's time to make the frosting. The coconut chips are toasting in the oven. I found the right kind, and so let's get the frosting going. So it's going to take 2 8-ounce packages of cream cheese, so 16 ounces of cream cheese, 3 sticks of butter at room temperature. Now we're going to get that mixing. This is where the Southern Comfort that has had the alcohol removed from it, this is where this comes in. So we're going to add, let's scrape this down, and we're going to add in then that flavoring. Now we're going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And we're going to add a 1.5 tablespoons of the flavoring. And then we're going to add the powdered sugar, and that is 5 cups.
Whoa.
So we'll add that.
No wonder it tastes so good.
Yeah. All the butter, the sugar. Okay. So 5 cups, just add it sort of bit by bit. And I'm gonna measure 1/4 of a cup of the flavoring into this little bowl, and we're going to use that as like a simple syrup on the cakes. And it makes them so moist and then adds that flavor in. Fragile. Okay, time for the flavoring. We're finishing out the cake. We're going all the way around.